July 12, 2013. The United Nations headquarters in New York buzzes with anticipation. It's a special day, Malala Day, declared by the UN to honor a young girl's courage. On this day, Malala Yousafzai, a 16-year-old from Pakistan's Swat Valley, steps onto the global stage. Just 9 months earlier, she was shot in the head by the Taliban for advocating girls' education. Today, on her 16th birthday, she delivers her first public speech since the attack. In 17 minutes, her words will echo around the world, a powerful call for education, equality, and peace. This is One Child, One Pen, Malala's 2013 UN speech that shook the world. Let's set the stage. It's 2013, and Malala Yousafzai is already a symbol of defiance. Born in 1997 in Mingora, Pakistan, she grew up in the Swat Valley, a region known for its beauty but also its turmoil. By 2009, the Taliban had taken control, banning girls from attending school. Malala, then just 11, began blogging for the BBC under a pseudonym, sharing her experiences and her longing to learn. Her voice gained attention, but it also made her a target. On October 9, 2012, a Taliban gunman boarded her school bus, asked for her by name, and shot her in the head. She was 15. Miraculously, she survived, airlifted to the UK for treatment. Now, 9 months later, she stands before the UN Youth Assembly, ready to speak for millions of children denied an education. Malala begins her speech with a traditional Islamic greeting, invoking the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. She addresses the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon, the President of the General Assembly Vuk Jeremiah, the UN Envoy for Global Education Gordon Brown, and the audience of young delegates, elders, and activists. She expresses her honor at speaking again after such a long time, noting the significance of being surrounded by such honorable people. She mentions a personal touch. She's wearing a shawl that once belonged to Benazir Bhutto, Pakistan's first female prime minister, a woman who inspired her and who was assassinated in 2007. It's a symbolic gesture, tying her fight to a legacy of courage. Malala admits she's unsure where to begin. She doesn't know what people expect her to say, but she starts with gratitude. She thanks God, for whom we are all equal, and every person who prayed for her recovery and gave her a new life. She speaks of the overwhelming love she's received. Thousands of cards and gifts from around the world, words of encouragement from children, prayers from elders. She expresses deep appreciation for the nurses, doctors, and hospital staff in Pakistan and the UK, as well as the UAE government, who helped her heal. Her voice, though young, carries a quiet strength, a resilience forged through pain. She then acknowledges the leadership of the UN officials present, voicing her full support for Ban Ki-moon's Global Education First initiative and the work of Gordon Brown, who has championed education worldwide. She thanks them for inspiring action, setting the stage for her own message. But she quickly clarifies what this day means. Malala Day, she insists, is not about her. It's the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who has raised their voice for their rights. She speaks of the countless human rights activists and social workers fighting for peace, education, and equality, those who have been killed or injured by terrorists. She positions herself as just one of them, one girl among many, standing for those without a voice, for their right to live in peace, to be treated with dignity, to have equal opportunities, and to be educated. Malala then recounts the day that changed her life. On October 9th, 2012, the Taliban shot her on the left side of her forehead as she sat on her school bus. They shot her friends too, hoping to silence their voices. But she says they failed. Out of that silence came thousands of voices. The terrorists thought the bullets would stop her ambitions, but instead, something else happened. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died, she declares, and strength, power, and courage were born. She remains the same Malala, with the same ambitions, hopes, and dreams. Her resolve is unshaken, her spirit unbroken. She makes it clear that her fight is not personal. She's not here to seek revenge against the Taliban or any terrorist group. She's not even against anyone, she says. Instead, she's here to speak for the right of every child to an education. She wants education for the sons and daughters of the Taliban, for all extremists. In a stunning moment of compassion, she reveals that she doesn't hate the Talib who shot her. Even if she had a gun in her hand and he stood before her, she wouldn't shoot him. She explains that this compassion comes from the teachings of Muhammad, the prophet of mercy, from Jesus Christ, and from Lord Buddha. It's a legacy of change she's inherited from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan. It's the philosophy of nonviolence she's learned from Gandhi, Bacha Khan, and Mother Teresa. Malala's message of forgiveness is radical, especially for a 16-year-old who nearly lost her life. But it's her vision for education that takes center stage. She speaks of the power of knowledge, quoting a wise saying, "The pen is mightier than the sword." She explains that this is why extremists fear books and pens. The power of education terrifies them. They're afraid of women, she says, because educated women can change the world. That's why they kill female teachers, why they attack schools with acid and bombs. They want to stop progress, to keep girls in ignorance. But Malala calls for the opposite. She urges the world to arm children with education, not weapons. She addresses the global community directly, calling on world leaders to act. She urges them to ensure free, compulsory education for every child, to stop child labor, child marriage, and child trafficking. She demands that governments fight terrorism and violence against women, that they protect children from brutality. She speaks to women and girls, encouraging them to be brave, to realize the power within them, to change their own lives and their communities. Her voice grows more urgent as she calls for equality, for peace, for a world where every child can learn without fear. Malala's speech builds to a powerful crescendo. She declares that the time for change is now. The world cannot wait for another decade, another century to act. She calls on the global community to take up books and pens as their most powerful weapons, to fight for education as a basic right. And then she delivers her most iconic line: "One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world." Education, she says, is the only solution. Education first. The crowd erupts in applause, a standing ovation for a 16-year-old who has faced death and emerged stronger, a girl who has turned her pain into a global movement. On that day in 2013, Malala Yousafzai didn't just speak, she ignited a revolution. Her words reached millions, inspiring a global push for education. In the years that followed, she co-founded the Malala Fund, advocating for girls' education worldwide. In 2014, at just 17, she became the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate, sharing the award with Kailash Satyarthi for their fight for children's rights. Her speech at the UN marked a turning point, a moment when the world was reminded of the transformative power of education and the courage of one girl who refused to be silenced. Today, in 2025, Malala's message remains as urgent as ever. Over 120 million girls worldwide are still out of school, denied their right to learn by poverty, conflict, and discrimination. The Taliban, who once tried to silence her, have regained control of Afghanistan, banning girls from secondary education once again. But Malala's legacy endures. Her words from 2013 continue to inspire activists, educators, and leaders to fight for a world where every child can go to school. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can indeed change the world if we act. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to 2013. If Malala's story inspired you, hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more stories of courage, hope, and change. Until next time, let's keep fighting for education, because one child, one pen, can can change everything.